How's everyone doing this morning? This is a song and dance while they bring the clicker up. Okay? Good? All right, awesome. Are you awake? It's a quiet response. All right. So, glad to be here on behalf of talking about blockchain this morning. I'm going to run through this real quickly just to share some thoughts, some ideas, minus the obvious advertising on the front of the shirt. This is not an IBM commercial. In fact, I will say little about IBM as a whole. Others may on the screen. There'll be some video. But this is just a conversation really between us to share thoughts on what we're seeing in the market. What are trailblazers doing? Are they out there? Are they real? This is meant to share thoughts. If I can blow through it quickly, then we'll ask questions and get some of your thoughts as well and share just what we're seeing in the marketplace. That's what this is meant to do. No hype, no BS, no fluff, just conversation. Otherwise, Luis would have never invited me back. So here I am. Let's get started. Blockchain, is this really all hype? Are we on this treadmill again? Hamster on the treadmill. We're just running. This is the next thing. It's SOA, it's big data, it's cognate, it's all this stuff. Is that really what we're hearing? In some cases, yes, but there are people, companies, enterprises making it real. Real not just as tests, but as real enterprise business cases. But as we all know, and we've heard while we've been here over the last few days, there is hype. We know it. The hype is out there. In spite of the hype, there are trailblazers. Trailblazers that are really doing things. However, we know that from a study by Deloitte, teamed with GitHub and CoinDesk, that of 26,000 projects that were initiated last year, only 8% kept going. Or still in existence. That was 92% of those were science experiments. Or they were great ideas that didn't have the wherewithal to keep going until someone else is going to pick them up. I mean, it's like a bunch of stranded Ferraris and Lamborghinis on the side of the road. They just ran out of gas. So there they are, just sitting there, waiting for someone to pick them up because, in fact, they didn't have all the wherewithal, the thought, the business planning, the business outcome, the value in order to keep going. And thus the hype. Thus the hype that says, oh, these were, it's a great thing. So why the failures? Well, because in fact, instead of trailblazers, they were tall tale blazers. They were telling stories. This is where the gratuitous giggles come in for the people on the screen. This is where you can just laugh because it's this way. There's this show in the U.S., Jimmy Fallon or Late Night, where he has these words that keep playing. So this is the warning. It gets pretty cheesy for the next 4 slides. There you go. You're going to have to do some more of that. Because the blockchain tailblazers turned out to be big failblazers. They, in fact, then focused on something was just a word, blockchain, the technology. It's not about the technology. It's the capability that this technology brings. If you follow the then fun of this rhyming that will make you get slightly nauseous in a second, but the blockchain becomes block pain because you focus on just the topic, which then becomes block blame when you try and deliver. And everyone say, oh, well, it really is good, but this person didn't do this. This technology didn't do this. We should have chosen this platform. We had the wrong partnership, blah, 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 because they focused on the technology. And then quickly from block blame, there's block shame, because whoever pitched it lost and eventually realized there was no block game. So that's it. No more cheesy slides. All right, but thanks for appeasing me here at the beginning. So, look, the opinions that you're going to hear are, in fact, from a 107-year-old startup. We continue to reinvent the company. So this is the disclaimer slide. It does come from IBM. We are a cloud-based platform company, and thus we're making a huge bet on blockchain because it's a cloud-based platform capability. It's changing the world, it's changing our company, and it will change the way that we do business globally. Number of clients that continues to grow. This is a slide that's a number of months old, few months old, so those numbers have increased. Networks now are above 30, and independently rated for the moment. We're out in front with the biggest enterprise blockchain for business networks. For the moment, I say that because we're out in front. But that's not standing alone, that's with an ecosystem of partners. Some listed here by the numbers. That's what it takes to get going. So, what if? Now let's get to the basic. Why is this a big deal? Well, let's think about the current challenge that we all have in doing business. Why do we care about blockchain as a capability? Well, because we know for years we think of getting anything that we all consume, and we're all consumers, from point A to point B. We know that there's many steps in the process. Here, based on some of the icons you see, it kind of gives this illusion of the from farm to fork, because you see the producer as a farmer. And he or she then produces something that ultimately gets to us, the end consumer. And the big focus is forget about the value through that chain for now. Think about the value for the consumer, the end user. That's what you have to start with. And as consumers, there's just a few levers. We're simple creatures, all of us, very simple. And there's just a few levers that we pull on. We know that when we look at something, we think about, what about the cost? What about the value of what I'm buying? What about the reputation of that product or that thing, that service? What about the social responsibility? Is it sustainable? Do I feel good about buying this thing, this product, this service? That is what we all value. All of that value is trapped in that system right now. When you look from the very beginning, from the very producer, ultimately getting to the consumer, that value is trapped in the system. Guess who owns that right now? The intermediaries, the people passing it from point A to point B. And those intermediaries are the ones controlling that information, that data. Data. That's the true value of what we're talking about in blockchain, right? It has to be. It's been elusive, and every new thing that's come out there, data is still at the heart. And there's two simple hurdles that we've had to try and jump over. That's first access, shared access, and then quality, meaning if you can get to the data, is the data right? Is it accurate? That's what we get now with blockchain. So if we get that in this point A to point B, if we could share that data with confidence in a permissioned blockchain, guess what happens? That value that was trapped in the system is considered waste, because now that process can move faster. We can all share it, permission down that line. Not only can they see it, but now as they share it, that process is better. So now it's faster and it's better, because now we have accurate information. We know how this information is going from point A to point B. We know the provenance. We know that there could be smart contracts so that we're not actually making phone calls, sending emails. These things are actually transacting. We know that by looking at the true information, that despite the fact that there's more organic food consumed than produced, go figure, right? That maybe it really is organic, because that's what we see in the provenance of that product. And as it comes out to the consumer, then we actually get a bigger, better outcome. And in some cases, a new business model. So this is what we get. We get faster capability. We get better process, better business process, and bigger opportunity. New business models. So that's the basic concept. It's just that simple. That's what we're seeing in the industry. We didn't invent it. Now, we do have the most inventions now for almost 25 quarters straight. However, we didn't invent this. This is simple business. Some people call it supply chain. I call it value chain because this could be any industry. Could be the financial services sector. Could be the consumer industry. Could be travel, transportation. The value chain works the same way. And this is the value that's trapped in the system that using this capability with blockchain, that's what our clients are now extracting and returning to the end user or to the value and reputation of their products and services. So is it real, or did Jason just make this up on a slide? You know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I did just make it up. Well, let's take a quick view. Hopefully sound's working on video. If it's not, it'll just be a pretty moving picture. So let's see.
I purchased a pack of mangoes. I came into my staff meeting. I put them on the table, and I said, your traceback exercise starts right now. And we timed how long it took them to get the information for each point in the food system all the way back to the farm. And I'm not going to give you the results after the pilot. But it's going to be good. When a customer shops in our stores, we know they expect great prices. We know they expect fast, clean, and friendly service. But an unspoken expectation is that they expect the products that they buy in our stores to be safe. You know, when there's a food event or a food scare, what you want to do is you want to be fast, but you want to be right. That food product is guilty until proven innocent. We at Walmart will actually pull all of the product until we know what is the implicated product and we can put the safe product back out. And so imagine if we could pinpoint with certainty within minutes, not days, that it was the implicated product. Walmart and IBM are working to make that a reality. If you think about the food system, it's pretty complex. It involves farmers, processors, distributors. And the way traceability is done today, each segment of the food system does it their own way. Most actually do it on paper or on systems that don't speak to each other. And so you can never have a full view of what's happening in the food system. What we hope to do with blockchain is bring all food safety system stakeholders and collaborate so that we do it one best way. We can do it very quickly and efficiently. Blockchain is a digital ledger that allows different segments of the food system to capture information about the product, what they've done to it, where that product has been. If we're linking that data with other data points, the Internet of Things, all that information will yield to insights that will allow us to have a safer, more affordable, and sustainable food system. But we don't believe traceability is the goal. We believe that transparency is the ultimate goal. Blockchain will give us the ability to not only track where food came from, but how it was produced. Was it produced safely? Was it produced responsibly? Is it sustainably grown? How many dates of shelf life are left on that product? The food system is a shared responsibility, and for blockchain and traceability and transparency to work, we need a lot of people working together. And so we're excited to be working with IBM on this blockchain initiative. But it's not just Walmart and IBM. We actually have some of our suppliers participating in this pilot. We've got some universities also participating in the pilot. And so we'll make sure that all stakeholders work together for a safer and better food system.
So there's an example and someone speaking about blockchain for business where they're actually using it. Key points there when you think of the transparency that Frank called out versus track and trace, which has always been there. The transparency, each one of those segments that I mentioned in that value chain all have their own systems. And now we have the capability, and I'm reiterating what Frank said, now they have the transparency where it's not just their systems and their ecosystems below that, but those systems and ecosystems can share. So, you know, we're pulling out cost in the system, and as well as that, waste. And that's somewhat of an insurance policy, some would say. It's like, wait a second, how do you make money on food safety? Well, you make money because you're saving the cost is the first thing, and that, you know, as it says here, $700 billion of opportunity from foodborne illnesses, but then also we know that 1/3 of waste, 1/3 of all processed food is wasted. So here's now food that we can return to the system and increase the return on that effort. So with Food Trust, this is what we get. One example, but something that we saw to add to this in this video is the actual transport of those goods from point A to point B. So let's take a look at another
The following is a demonstration of
video
how IBM and Maersk are partnering to digitize and simplify global trade using blockchain to create trust and transparency in the supply chain. Global trade functions much as it has since the introduction of the shipping container in 1956. Manual, paper-based processes are still common, and information about the status of goods is locked away in organizational silos. Today, 90% of goods in global trade are carried by the shipping industry, with the supply chain slowed by the complexity and sheer volume of point-to-point communication across a loosely coupled web of land transportation providers, freight forwarders, customs brokers, governments, ports, and ocean carriers. IBM and Maersk are addressing this problem with a distributed, permission platform accessible by the supply chain ecosystem designed to exchange event data and handle document workflows. Maersk and IBM are employing blockchain technology to create a global, tamper-proof system for digitizing trade workflow and tracking shipments end-to-end, eliminating frictions including costly point-to-point communications. The collaboration will launch with the potential ability to track millions of container journeys per year and integrate with customs authorities on selected trade lanes. In a recent test by Maersk, shipping a single container of flowers from Kenya to the port of Rotterdam resulted in a stack of nearly 200 communications. Using this example, we will examine how blockchain has been implemented to create trust and security in the digitized document workflow and improve the efficiency of global supply chains. Here we can see each distinct entity involved in the transaction: the growers, export authorities, ports, customs, and importers. Shipping from the port of Mombasa requires signatures from 3 different agencies approving the export and 6 documents that describe the origin, chemical treatments, quality of the produce, and customs duties. Firstly, using a PC or mobile device, the Kenyan farm submits a packing list that becomes visible to all participants. This action initiates a smart contract that enforces an export approval workflow between the 3 agencies. As each agency signs, the status is updated for all to see. Simultaneously, information about the inspection of the flowers, the sealing of the refrigerated container, the pickup by the trucker, and the approval from customs is communicated to the port of Mombasa, allowing them to prepare for the container. All actions relating to the documents and the physical goods are captured and shared: which documents were submitted, when and by whom, where the flowers are and who is in possession of them, and the next steps in their journey. Flowers are perishable, so it's crucial that there are no delays or missteps. Blockchain provides secure data exchange and a tamper-proof repository for these documents and shipping events. This system could significantly reduce delays and fraud, saving billions of dollars annually. And according to the WTO, reducing barriers within the international supply chain could increase worldwide GDP by almost 5% and total trade volume by 15%. For more information on how IBM can help make blockchain...
I had to stop the commercial there. I promised you no commercials at the very end, telling you to check with us, with IBM. Well, obviously, I'm showing the slide. This talks about some efficiencies that I mentioned before. And I'll call out, if you were here for the panel, Alexander from Ship Next made mention of this, is that here's this opportunity to get the transparency in the system that is not there before. So in addition to the thought of supply chain optimization, think of the other opportunity that's here and what's evolved. When we talk about blockchain, we often think of secure ID, meaning secure identification of people, of us. Being able to have that sense that you are who you are. Well, now, just in this example, you can see that it's now entities. Is that ship that ship? Is that container on that ship? And is that ship and that container in the same position? Is that thermometer or temperature gauge actually taking the temperature of that good that's inside that container, that's inside that ship, that's wherever it is? So it goes on and on. So now you start to think of the complexity when you bring in IoT. You also think of the complexity of being able to optimize the supply chain, just not knowing the right route. But one of the things that we have brought into the fold here is we purchased the weather company. We say, oh, well, now we have all this weather data. And all of those people tapping into that weather data, whether that weather data is being consumed by one of your social services, you become then a point on that system because you are where you are and your phone is your phone and it's telling us about the weather where you are that could impact a shipment or a shipment on a ship, or now as we've expanded the relationship with Maersk in a yet to be approved regulatorily, but it will soon be approved joint venture with Maersk, that it goes out into the shipping lanes and then will extend further into those ecosystems. That's big. Not only is it big, but for all of you thinking how to get involved, it's real. And this is the opportunity that we're talking about. So I'll finish this one out on when we say from shipping, then there's finance, and you think of the trade finance. We have a consortia that here throughout Europe of the trade finance side. So you have trade finance, you have trade, and you have the commercial goods actually getting. So what does that mean? That means now you have this exciting system where you're saying, listen, we have trade, trade, and trade, common words here, all working together, each their own individual network, and if you tie it together, what do you get? A network of networks. Now what happens when all those come together? Their ecosystems are not that differentiated, and they may tie together. So what you have is, in reality, you have a Maersk, you have a Walmart, Cargill, Tyson Foods, all of those consumer goods tying into then the finance side. What's not on here? What about trade insurance? What about all these things that could stack up and tie into this network of networks? This is the direction that we know it's going. So when you think of different networks, oh, what's the right network or which one's better? They're going to converge and they're going to come together. So how'd they do this? It's a gratuitous kitty picture, so you're supposed to smile again. Quickly, you have, what have we seen with clients? Where do they start? Companies start with, how do we do it inside our company? And then it's not just inside our company, but inter-companies, between two companies, and from the inter-company into new business opportunity, new business models. And in each, they walk their way up from understanding all the way to extending those business models. You see in the heart of this, in the middle, is in fact business value. They start with the outcome, then walk back into the capability of technology. Not, oh, let's take the technology and go find somewhere, because you can't walk around with a bucket of blockchain and go paint it on the problems. You have to find the outcome that you're running after. 2016, as some have heard me say, it was a year of blockchain tourism. And then last year, we had the real blockchain pilots. This year of 2018 is blockchain production networks, as you've seen. And that's where we're all headed with your help. Blockchain for business is what we're talking about. 2018 is where these characteristics, these key concepts, from smart contracts to consensus to a permission network, will drive those cost savings and those new business opportunities that I mentioned. How do you do this? Do it like these players here on the board, because they are the trailblazers. It's real. They are making it happen by industries, and they will need your help in an ecosystem partner to make it happen. Must-haves, whomever is doing this, you have to make sure you have 3 components that are key. If you've been a Girl Guide, a Boy Scout, or what have you, you know this, that to cause fire, you need the fuel, the energy, and the oxygen. The competition's out there, so you have the heat. The fuel is the outcome. That's what's going to keep this going. You need that fuel, the fuel that's going to say, well, you're getting a business return on using this capability, and then the oxygen that has to stay in the organization. This is the tough part. The tough part that gets your organizations to get behind it and drive it. That's going to light the fire to keep it going. And to close, this is what we know makes it successful. Those stranded Ferraris and Lamborghinis and fancy cars on the road did not make the plan to say, do we have the right experience, the right capability, robust ecosystem, and the expertise? This is key. Technology is 10% of the game. The other 90% is the business model and pulling the business components together across the ecosystems and within those consortia that are going to pull together and make it happen. It's that simple. And with that, as you follow it, I'm sure you will all crush it as this now shameless kitty video, so I'm a kitty picture, so you can all smile at the end, says. You follow those basics, and that's what we'll do. I think I might have time for 1, 2 questions. No questions. No questions at all. So with that, if I do catch you in the hallways, maybe we can catch up then. Thank all of you for your time. Hopefully this has been a good conversation and a good presentation. Enjoy the rest of your time here and the rest of the week here in London. Take care. Thank you.